I'm Sally Boothman Glines. I'm now currently the last Boothman, unfortunately, but there's a whole bunch of wonderful memories. And what I thought I'd focus on today, for the most part, were hotels in my family. And looking back and looking through some of the data that we have, which we have mountains of, hotels have been in our family for 6 generations. And at one point, the Ravine House, the Mount Crescent House, and the Mountain View House were all in our family, all at the same time. And the Mountain View House was actually my great aunt's grandparents' house, which is now, it has the silo on top, or the music room, excuse me, on Randolph Hill, and that was the Mountain View House. And my 3 great aunts ran that as a boarding house. And actually, their parents ran it also as a boarding house. No, excuse me, not their parents, but their grandparents, the Kelseys, ran it as a boarding house. So that was one. In 1950, my grandfather decided that the 2 surviving aunts, which was Aunt May and Aunt Becky, really should not be running the Mountain View House any longer. They were getting too old, and it was too much work for them. So what he did is, and I heard it referenced today, and it's probably one of the only references to Skates Corner. And Skates Corner was the Skates house that was there, and that was the only house that was torn down when Route 2 went through. That was the only house. And so my grandfather bought that for my 2 surviving aunts, and they stayed there until they passed away. So that was what happened with the Mountain View House, and there's lots of memories there as well. However, looking at the Ravine House, that was actually started. Stephen Watson came up, and then his son, which was Abel, and then Laban started the Ravine House. And they all started it because they were at the train station, and someone from Massachusetts, and I can't remember the name, and Al will probably fill it in, but that's okay, said, geez, I wish there was a place to stay. And Laban said, there is. You could stay at my place. And then they proceeded to take the farmhouse and the barns and turn that over into the hotel. The 3rd piece was the old starch mill that came from Carlton Brook. They moved it in the wintertime, being hauled by horses, and they attached that to the Ravine House. And that was a three-story house. The starch came from potatoes, and then it was sent to Manchester, and that was starch used for the Union Army officers during the Civil War. So in the little time that I have left, one of the things that was kind of interesting to me was there were 3 generations in the state legislature. Laban Watson was, my grandfather was, and I was. So there was 3 generations there, and 30 seconds I have left. One of the things in the 30 seconds that I have left is that Papa Boothman built most of the summer cottages in Randolph. How he chose who was going to be on his crew was he gave him a flat pine board, drew a crow's foot on it, and said, draw a straight line. Couldn't draw a line to saw. You had to saw the straight line from a crow's foot. If you couldn't do it, you weren't hired.